Oklahoma State is not a great football team, but they are still in line to make its way to the college football playoff via the Big 12 championship game. Texas is not a great football team, but they're not a bad football team. They're the best 3-4 team in all of college football, and I'm sure better than some 5-2 and 4-3 clubs out there as well. Mark Rogers TV instant analysis. Here we go. Oklahoma State survives Texas in overtime in Austin, 13-10. We expected a shootout or at least some points on the board. It's the Big 12, but we got a 13-10 ball game. Much of the reason why the Texas punter, Michael Dixon, one of the very best in college football, had his game on. He flipped the field many times throughout this game, and specifically on the first two drives of the ball game, he pinned Oklahoma State inside the 10-yard line, and that pretty much set up the Texas defense. All right, Texas also took a page from the TCU game plan in which the Horned Frogs upset OSU in Stillwater, where they went with the man-to-man coverage underneath. They played the cover 2 zone, and it worked well in containing Mason Rudolph and some of the best wide receivers in college football. All right, so it started off a defensive game, and it pretty much held true to the end of the game. I kept thinking somebody's going to break out, make huge plays, but it wasn't sustained, and it stayed close throughout. Oklahoma State did mount a 95-yard drive. The coverage was still tight. This is a different Texas defense than what we've seen in recent years. They're committed. They're tough. They're tenacious. They're not blowing coverages, tight coverage in the secondary. Holton Hill is a man. He was the player of this game. He was the best player on the field, making the most critical plays, the cornerback for the Texas Longhorns. But Rudolph did drive it down the field, and Oklahoma State led at 7-0. Mason Rudolph was good at times. He also missed some reads and made some bad throws. He was 22 of 36 for 241 yards. Sam Ehlinger, not the precision passer that Mason Rudolph is supposed to be, kept breaking contain even when he didn't need to. He gets a little jittery in the pocket, does his best work on the run, either escaping and throwing it downfield as the coverage breaks down, or most of the time taking off and taking on a defender with a shoulder and a helmet. That happened a number of times in this game. Key play in the game, and it would have really been key had Texas been able to pull out the victory. Oklahoma State was first and goal inside the 5. They already led 7-0. They were looking to make it 14-0. All right. You had a play from Chris Nelson, who blew up the play. And then Poona Ford stripped the ball from the running back, and Sean Elliott recovered. That was one play that prevented the touchdown to make it 14-0 Oklahoma State. Instead, Texas takes over, still inside its own 5. 2 plays later, John Burt, who's caught 1 pass this year. He's caught 46 passes in his career, his first 2 seasons in Texas, but only 1 reception this year. He went 90 yards down the sideline. It was just a quick 7-yard out. He turned the corner. A.J. Green, who had a really good game in spots, should have pushed him out of bounds a number of times, but just gave it a half-hearted, I'm going to shove him out of bounds, and he'll go out of bounds on his own. No, Burt gave probably a clinic, probably the most classic clinic that you would ever see on a tight roping the sideline for not 1 step or 2 steps, but 5 steps down the sideline. Ehlinger and the Texas offense ran the next play quick enough to avoid the review. I don't think it would have been overturned, as Burt continually stepped to where the heel, had it hit the ground, would have been out of bounds, but he tight-roped the sideline for 90 yards. And so Oklahoma State, this close to making it 14-0, suddenly it's a 7-7 game as Ehlinger took it in for the touchdown on the next play. Oklahoma State botched the final drive of the first half. They had good field position. They've got one of the better quarterbacks in the game, elite wide receivers, and Mike Gundy, for some reason, was settling just to go in at halftime. But his playmakers kept making plays and getting 12 and 15-yard gains, and then they tried to hurry up and do something at the end of the half. They could have gotten the ball out of bounds with about 7 or 8 seconds left to give them a shot at a field goal. They botched that, and they ran out the clock with 3 seconds left, despite being in Texas territory. So that was a blown in a game in which points were at a premium. That was not smart. 3rd and 17 play for Oklahoma State as we move to the second half. J.J. McCleskey just flat out drops a post pattern. He was wide open. It would have been a touchdown. He dropped it inside the 10. 3rd and 17 play. That was awful. Game tied at 7. Reggie Hemphill Maps, Texas's wide receiver and also key in the return game, was lost in the second quarter as well. So he was missed. Rudolph, his splits on this season and keeping it in perspective that most of these games have not been close for Oklahoma State, but you do have this game and you do have the TCU game, and Mason Rudolph in the first half this season is 16 touchdowns, 1 interception. Second half production, 3 touchdowns, 3 picks. That has to improve for Oklahoma State to reach its goals this season. Holton Hill, all right, had a bad call against him, one of the worst pass interference calls I've seen. James Washington gets the pass interference for Oklahoma State. That converts a 3rd and long, first down for Oklahoma State. They drive it down to the Texas 1. Texas stops them right there, and it was Holton Hill again after the Longhorns stuffed the ground game on first down and second down, that Holton Hill, in a play in which Rudolph tried to hit the quick slant for the touchdown, made a tremendous break on the ball for the pass breakup. Rudolph had the tight end wide open in the corner and missed him. As I mentioned off the top, Mason Rudolph played good in spots, as you would expect him to, but he missed some serious throws here. I thought, considering a 10-7 game at this point, Texas in the lead, that despite the safe conservative selection to go for the field goal, tie it at 10, that you go for it there. You take the lead, you're inside the 1. Even if you give the ball up, Texas is not moving the ball. You pin the offense inside the 1, you get the ball back if need be. But they kick the field goal and it's 10-10, and it would stay that way for the duration. 11 minutes left in the game. Texas battle-tested. They have had close games against USC, Kansas State, and, of course, Oklahoma last week in losing in the fourth quarter. In this particular drive, Oklahoma State, with 6.5 minutes left, again get pinned back to their own 14 by Dixon. The Texas punter, again, flips the field completely, but Brandon Jones, the Texas safety, falls down. Marcel Aitman goes 67 yards to set up Oklahoma State for what should have been the game-winning points. But the red zone offense breaks down again for Oklahoma State. Matt Amendola misses a 29-yard field goal. That has to get cleaned up as well. This kid is awfully shaky in the kicking game, and we were still tied at 10. Okay, we go to overtime. This is how it played out. Oklahoma State gets the ball first. They go 8 yards on the pass completion on first down. They're at 2nd and 2. They're in great position. Nope, they get stuffed in the ground game again. Texas's front four is probably the best in the Big 12. They certainly showed it to me in this game, especially since I saw the Oklahoma game last week, and Texas looked strong against the ground game there as well. Chris Boyd made a tremendous pass breakup inside the 5-yard line. Oklahoma State threw the slant to Aitman. He had the ball. Boyd stripped it out. That forced the field goal. This time Amendola converted. It was 13-10. Texas gets off to a good start on its overtime possession as A.J. Green was called for PI. Texas all set up at first down at the 12, but they bogged down from there. Ramon Richards with the interception to close it out for Oklahoma State. Cowboys win at 13-10. Not a pretty game, but considering this Texas talent and the way that they're playing this year, not getting over the hump yet at 3-4, but this is a key win for the Cowboys. They're now 6-1. Another tough date in the Big 12. They go to West Virginia next week. Texas at 3-4, playing with pride, and this shows you how good of a coach Tom Herman is. The season's lost statistically in terms of results and winning championships. The season's gone. They're 3-4. Although they won this game, they would still be in the hunt in the Big 12. But Texas still playing hard, goes to Baylor to take on the Bears next week. Mark Rogers TV with instant analysis of Oklahoma State's big overtime win in Austin. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel for the very best in college football coverage, analysis not just from me, but from the best bloggers and broadcasters in the industry. You got the audio versions. If you don't like to watch, look at us. You can catch the audio versions on Podbean, Stitcher, and iTunes. Just search Mark Rogers TV. We'll catch you next time.